Guys, welcome back to Quick Notes with Chris. Today we are going to be continuing our series of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. We're going to be talking in this video about the law of timing, law number 19. Basically, this is sort of one of those sort of coincides with the law of intuition. Essentially, good leaders can utilize their skills in terms of their knowledge and understand when it is to lead, when it is not to lead, when to make important decisions, what to do, and where to go whenever it comes to these choices. And it's really difficult to come by. It realistically only comes through multiple of reasons, through learning through other mentors, learning through other essentially leaders, but also understanding the market, understanding the trends, understanding your people more importantly. Reading a situation and knowing what to do are not enough. See, sometimes, in fact most times, to make a successful leadership and make a successful company and business, you must also pay attention to timing. It's arguably one of the major factors when it comes to the choice. So how is it in terms of outcomes? Well, you need to evaluate timing within the business, timing within the people, and timing within the marketplace. Now, how do you go about doing that? Well, first of all, number one, study your people. Understand where they're at, understand what's going on, what their mindsets are, their goals, their current goals, what they're looking towards achieving. That's number one. If you're looking towards launching a project, but everybody has split focuses or are in different areas, for example, on the extreme scale, like Apple, let's say they're planning to release a new iPhone, but you've got 3 of your major development teams that are working on complete different projects. It might not be the best time to start because you don't have that full hands-on deck mentality. So it's important that you understand your people, but also understanding what it is that they're looking to accomplish. If you know that certain people are looking towards leaving the company or certain people are going for certain promotions, those two essentially different mindsets might pay drastically off when you decide to making a decision. Now, you need to basically understand the evaluation of the market. Now, this might be the most difficult one because those ones are certainly in your control. Understanding your business, understanding, your team, that's a no-brainer. You can certainly always understand that. Now, understanding your market is relative to your industry, relative to what you're launching, understanding what people are wanting, what is the megatrend. There's a really interesting quote that I generally like the idea of and the believe it. It's don't be the first one to try something, but don't be the last. Meaning that it might not be the best person to try the first smartphone, but it would definitely be great to be anywhere in between that and the last, because that way you can understand the market trends. Someone else has done the failing for you and just fall in line, slightly tweak it, and very well, you should be making a profit as long as you time it at the right time and place. So there's 4 possible outcomes whenever it comes to any action. So if you do the wrong action, so it's the wrong evaluation in the period of where it is though you're looking towards choosing, and the wrong time, it ends up being a disaster. So if it's the completely wrong action coupled with the completely wrong time, you're going to result in disaster, which is the worst possible opportunity. So you want to basically completely write that off by understanding the action needs to be correct. The next one, if it's the right action, but it's the wrong timing, then you're going to get resistance. See, if you have, like, for example, right now, the best product in the world, arguably the iPhone. No matter what, it's the best product. But if you were to release that in, let's say, a recession, you're going to get resistance. People might buy it because it is so amazing, however, it's going to struggle. A great example of this is the PlayStation Portable, PSP. It was an amazing product. In fact, it was so ahead of its time. It was essentially the iPhone before the iPhone became what it was. It had all these games on there, these apps, well, on top of that could make calls and so on and so on and so on, but it just wasn't released at the right time. And part of that was because it pioneered the industry. So it developed resistance. It's still slightly relative today. It had some changes, but it wasn't as fruitful of a launch as it could have been if it released it a little bit better of a time. The next one is the wrong action, but the right time. This is simply a mistake. All that means is that you've made the wrong choice, you made it at the right time, however you shouldn't have done this, the action wasn't completely thought out, maybe parts of the action wasn't completely ready to go, whether it was launching a new building, whether it was expanding a new business, moving towards putting on new people, no matter what, either way it doesn't work out the best. It's literally a mistake. It means that you have the correct timing, you've just made the wrong action. And finally, the best possible outcome, the one that you're looking to have, is the right action and the right time. And what that results in is success. Success, profits, everybody is looking towards achieving what they're looking to achieve. Everybody ends up growing, everything ends up doing better. And now, it's very difficult for these to always line up consistently. And honestly, you can utilize the big Mo in order to start building these small successes because you can overcome a lot of these smaller obstacles whenever it comes to slight off timing or slight misaction. So, how is it that you look towards developing the action side as well as the timing side? Well, first of all, evaluate your product, evaluate your people, understand your service, how it is that you're presenting it. Once that's understood, that should be a fundamental because once that's there, you're prepared. Opportunity is when preparedness and opportunity meet. Success is where opportunity and preparedness meet. You always want to be prepared for the launch, ready to go. As long as that opportunity presents itself, then you're willing to basically be able to put in a position to take advantage of that position, of that opportunity, and hopefully succeed. Now, the law of timing requires understanding, maturity, confidence, decisiveness, experience, intuition, and preparedness. A lot of aspects, 7 aspects towards it. So let's talk about maturity. That basically means having the experience coupled with maturity in order to understand when it is to move, when it is to act. You know, the difference between knowledge and wisdom is knowledge with application. That's what wisdom is. When you've been able to trial these areas, it's like there's a famous saying. It's like knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing that a tomato doesn't go on a fruit salad. And so that's like the difference of wisdom and intuition, and combining those two to make sure that you're always actively making the correct choices. Now, it's very difficult to learn these, especially because it basically means that you have to make the mistake yourself. Unless you have a mentor, unless you're learning from a leader. See, they can genuinely guide you through these tough times, especially if they've been through it themselves. With the correct mentor, there should be very limited obstacles that you have to come over, unless it's the ones that are non-negotiable, meaning those actions and experiences that you just have to learn by doing, failing forward. So whenever it comes to this, the non-negotiables that you should definitely be able to understand is, number one, understanding. I would say confidence in your decision, decisiveness, and preparedness. Those are the non-negotiables. Things like maturity, things like intuition, and things like experience obviously can't come without experience in itself. It's sort of within its own definition. So the other ones just account for the accountables, things that you can control, things that you can change, things that you can always be in process of doing. You have to have the knowledge, intuition, and maturity to know when the decision is right. Now, this is basically where it comes to decisiveness. The thing about timing is that it comes and goes. Not always is that opportunity going to be present, because if it was, anyone would be able to do it at any time possible. So decisiveness is such an imperative trait towards developing. A decisive leader is someone who can make actions fly. There is no worse than decision than inaction in itself, not making a choice. Because all that happens, I know there's conflicting quotes about this one, because some people say, as long as I don't make a choice, my options are always forever there. Well, that's not true. That's incorrect. Making no choice is worse than making the wrong one. Because if you make the wrong choice, but you do it quickly, majority of the time you could correct your decision, change your course of navigation, and get yourself back on track. Therefore, you have less of a, negative reaction, and have the potential to have a positive one, all from making a decisive decision. When you make no decision, you take out no possibility of success, you take out no possibility of failure, but by default, you will be in a lesser position because your opportunity to make money is now gone. So you always want to make decisives, because there are certain circumstances, there are certain decisions that you make that very well you have to wear it through no matter what. For example, a launch of a new iPhone, a launch of a new product, anything like that. You have to wear out that launch. But from time to time, especially if you're a small business, there's a lot of opportunities where you can make the wrong decision, but because you were decisive, you have the opportunity to pull out and put it right in the correct directions, making sure that you're still striving towards making a profit, progressing. And experience and preparation are all these things that need to be utilized to back this up. See, if you do necessarily understand that there is the potential for failure, with decisiveness coupled with preparedness and experience, you can utilize that to put yourself in the correct position. Let me give you an example. For example, let's say you run a small business, okay? A small business, and you're looking towards a grand opening. Now, all of a sudden, there's a pandemic that hits, and you have to be forced to close up. Now, because you've made the decision quickly, you've still been well established enough, but you haven't lost out enough, and you're still able to basically negotiate on rent. So you can basically pause your possible lease because you were actually in on it before everything happened. Now, this gives you the opportunity to renegotiate, but because you've made the decision decisively, you can still, wear your losses while also still potentially building a profit and changing the direction of the business that you're going into. This comes from decisiveness versus making a decision before the deadline, having to stick it out, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So it's very important to utilize decisiveness in order to basically hedge your bets while also looking towards making that correct decision with the right action, with the right time, leading to success. Anyways, guys, that's it for the quick notes on the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. That was law number 19, the law of timing. I highly suggest, however, you still read the book, either go through and at the very least read the chapter, because there are just some things that are so much more in depth about these laws that it's very difficult to explain myself. And on top of that, there might be certain points that you can't take away and might actually be able to apply in your life that is more applicable than the things that I've said here. But other than that, guys, that's it for Quick Notes with Chris on. If you like what we're talking about, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell to get notifications, share with a friend if you think that it might be able to help you. But other than that, guys, don't stop there. Keep striving to put yourself in a better improvement and position for success. I'll see you in the next one.